Hey, Roger Martin here from Billings, Montana. Good day. And it looks like finally got the systems working after a long battle, nasty battle last night. Anyhow, we persist, and strategy and persistence and determination to learn and apply are such key. And he talks a little bit about strategy here. And this is the Entre NTRE system, educational system.
Your belief system. You can't apply knowledge in the form of a plan to create a strategy if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing or what it is that you should be trying to do. You have to get clear on what you believe. What do you believe about life? What do you believe is the purpose of your personal life? How you answer that question says everything about whether or not you should even be a part of Entre, which information within Entre you're going to naturally gravitate towards, what you're going to do with the information. Until you believe that life is meant to be awesome and that digital business is the vehicle that can help lead you to that awesome place or be your initial stepping stone, then you're not going to apply what Entre teaches, because we have to be aligned in belief before we're ever going to be aligned in planning and execution and strategy.
Now, that's really a key part. And I don't know how many successful coaches and systems that have talked about this, but it doesn't seem to go away. Our belief system has to be found fundamental, in tuned and in line with our action system and our other systems that are going to help us apply knowledge in a profitable and meaningful way. This is all connected, and it always will be. You can't separate the two. He talks about life is meant to be awesome in lesson one. This is interesting.
Of life across which excellence, the pursuit of excellence, creates our awesome life. Conveniently, they all start with a P: physical, personal, professional. And then we make a strategic tweak to that belief that says the most practical approach is to shore up resources first, to focus on the professional arena, not because it's the most important and not even because it's the most primal, but because at a practical level, if we have more resources in the world that we live in the economies that most of us inhabit, it's going to allow us more time, energy, and focus for the full spectrum of life, right? Then we say, okay, now we must create the conditions for success. The conditions for success, as we've talked about, are going to involve new network, new skills. So we use community, we use knowledge, and we assemble strategy. That's the bulk of the Entre Blueprint. 4 of the 6 Entre Blueprint lessons focus on creating the conditions for success. Obviously, we're in lesson 2 right now, focusing on learning about how the conditions for success work and why it is that they will drive the behaviors that will lead us to success. So we're actually shoring up our belief system at the same time. But then lessons 4, 5, and 6 are going to be very tactical, focused on specific internet business models that now that we understand the 3 phases of building a legacy, we know why we need to start with phase 1. And that's what lessons 4, 5, and 6 are going to do for us. And that is where we come together and we make a plan. And the plan is the 3 phases of building a legacy. The 3 phases unfold over time. They're not purely linear. You don't have to complete one before you graduate to the next, but they tend to move in that sequence. That's our plan. That's our timeline. That's what unfolds. And that's why we know that we need to move into, for the second half of Entre Blueprint, we're going to be focusing on tactical business training because we got to get that leverage. We got to get that high ROI digital cash flow business. And then we have to stabilize that digital cash flow and turn it into something we can use as an agent for growth in our life, because
Now he says high ROI, return on investment. So we've got to look at something that will produce a high ROI. And I may have to get a loan out and get into the water system to do that. It's about the only one I know that has an ROI, high ROI. The investment areas do too. So those 2 are the only 2 that I know of.
it's not enough to make money. You have to know that you're going to make money. It's not enough to have cash flow. You have to know that you're going to have future cash flow, because then you can bank against it. Then you can forecast it. You can plan around it. And ultimately, you can leverage it and even sell it. You can sell.
Wow, that's so key. That is so key. I don't know why I've had doubts in that area, but that is so key to future success. Because if you have a history of great returns on your ROI. Uh, People will lend you as much money as you want, and Rich Dad Poor Dad talks about
Your cash flow. We'll talk about that. And then, and only then, do we have any business moving into the real long-term wealth vehicles in this world that, frankly, a lot of the really good opportunities are going to require you to be an accredited investor anyways. And depending on what country you're in, there's different standards. But it's almost like you have to have a certain amount of cash flow before you even get access to the legacy vehicles. So that's our plan, and then we execute the plan. And the way you effectively execute a plan is you effectively self-influence. Execution comes down to effective self-influence. This is why we have such strong accountability structures built into Entre. This is why everybody gets an advisor. And here's the thing, if you're hiding from your advisor, you're not hiding from their well-being, you're hiding from your own. If you're not getting in touch with your advisor and allowing them to hold you accountable and allowing them to guide you through this training, you're not saying no to them, you're saying no to yourself. There can't be any of us who truly believe, certainly at this point, that we're more likely to be successful if we isolate, we don't connect to community, we don't plug in, and we just try to willfully do it all ourselves. No one can reasonably believe that. If at this point, if you're not reaching out to your advisor, if you're rejecting connection with your advisor, call it what it is. You're self-sabotaging. That's why so much of the Entre approach is built around connecting you with your advisor, giving you access to your one-on-one fast-track coaching you'll learn about later on. Heavy emphasis on community and accountability drives execution. Okay? So
that's pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff. Well, we're going on. Let's see what the cost of this is. See what we have to do to pay for it and apply it and make our lives better. I don't have time. My most valuable asset is my time, and I've got to utilize my resources and my time, my strategy, my systems return on investment better than ever before. There's no two ways about it. And whatever is stopping me from doing that, I need to overcome, eliminate, and move on, or break that apart. So success is more than possible. It is essential. This is Roger Martin from Village, Montana. Good day. And this is lesson 2 of the Entre system, NTREinstitute.com. It's just part of that second lesson. All right, so this is the homework, and you really have to think a little more deeply on what he's saying here, beyond just the surface of this.
Draining stuff, but it's important that you kind of have these little checkpoints for yourself to make sure that this stuff is really sticking. So the first thing I want to do is I want you to think about your life pre-Entre, before you started watching my videos, before you got into this training, before you became a part of this community, before you connected with your advisor, before this new awesome life was becoming a real vision for you, before all of that. I want you to think about your life, and I want you to think about the actions that you were taking, the action stool that you were standing on at that time in your life. Maybe it was only 2 days ago, maybe it was 2 weeks ago, maybe it was a year ago, right? Everybody moves at a different pace. And I want you to think about what was the context and the community that was at the foundation of your action prior to Entre. And I want you to write it down. And it doesn't mean that it's totally gone now. It's not like you've left your whole previous life behind, but you've obviously added something new to the context and the community that supports and validates and reinforces and propels you forward. But what was it pre-Entre, right? And then knowledge. Where were you going pre-Entre to get specialized knowledge about how to move forward in this world and how to progress towards the life that you wanted? Or maybe you were at a place where you hadn't actually really entertained or been given permission to entertain the concept of going out and getting this awesome life that you might want. And it was just sort of, well, where am I getting the knowledge for the life that I have or the life that I've been told I'm destined for? But what was your knowledge resource pre-Entre? I'd like to know that. And then what was your strategy? Remember, strategy is where plan meets belief system. So what was your strategy pre-Entre for making sure that when you get to the end of this road, when you're on your deathbed, you're not laying there thinking about regrets, you're laying there thinking about successes and accomplishments and legacy and blessings and fun. What was your strategy pre-Entre, your plan for making sure that you got to the end of this road without anything left on the table? I'd like to know that. And then for those of you, again, who are in Entre Nation, what I would
Yeah, we clicked on the alternation thing, and that is free. I've got to find out where that is on Facebook or where that's at. So I'll have to ask the coach on that. Excuse me. Again, there's Roger Marvin Village, Montana. This is the second lesson of Entre. It's a little bit of the ending of it and part of the beginning. So I got to look at these questions a little more seriously and in depth and in detail and get them to my coach and see what he thinks. Again, Roger Marvin Village, Montana. Good day.